everyone, Steve Crosby here. Welcome to this edition of Monday Morning Musing. We left you off at roughly 50 AD with a lot of famine, accumulating taxes, Roman Jewish contempt, Jewish contempt. And we know primarily from Josephus. Now you gotta be careful, Josephus. He was quite the PR wizard. He tends to exaggerate things, tends to paint himself in a pretty good light, but he's also a great primary source for some first century history. And along the lines of there's all kinds of people pretending to be Messiah at the time of the apostles and at the later end of Jesus's life. This was nothing new. Includes one called the Egyptian, roughly around 58 AD. All right, so the countryside, the populace, Judaism, Israel, Jews, they've had it. They've had it. Well, this guy comes along. He presents himself as the Messiah. He predicts that Jerusalem is going to collapse and that he himself was going to take over and rebuild it in fulfillment of all the prophecies. And Felix sent in the army and kills a few folks, and that was it. They went kaput, disappeared. It's great when you're the boss and you're going to be doing all the killing. It's different when you get killed and your friends are dead. Yeah, so Felix, who was the governor at the time, put the kibosh on those guys, done, gone. And I'm just using that as an example of there being other messianic figures that leading up to the Bar Kochba revolt that would come, 70 years later. They litter the historical countryside in Israel. All right, let's go back to the Zealots for a bit, because I've trying to just chronologically cover about 60 years in 20 minutes, not at all trying to be thorough, not even trying. The thing with the Zealots, the Sicarii, they didn't really have a high figure representative, didn't have a spokesperson, didn't have a prominent leader. They were pretty much a modern Hamas, if you want to say it that way. They did murder. They did kill the high priest. That's what they thought of him. And Felix at the time, again, late 50s AD, was so bad managing things and managing the Sicarii that Nero replaced him with Festus. But too late. Then there was another governor, and it, like I said earlier, they just kept sending the riffraff to try to get this place to calm down. But the final straw in the match that lit off everything took place in Caesarea. Now remember I said earlier, two things. You got to remember Caesarea, and you got to remember the mixed Jew-Gentile population. So we've got violence, we've got the mob, we've got sacred violence, we've got murder, we've got bribery, extortion, and now the issue of money comes into the picture, and it reaches a tipping point. In Caesarea, there were less Jews than non-Jews, but the Jews paid more taxes than the non-Jews. They did not have proportional control or influence. Yes, they were allowed to practice their religion. They were free to worship as long as they would offer prayers on behalf of Caesar. But now we're talking about money and fairness, money and justice, money and social justice. Do you see the modern comparatives? History just repeats itself over and over. This situation in Caesarea got out of control. Rome appointed a guy by the name of Florus who would become the governor at the time, and he sided with the Gentiles. And not only did he say that the Jews should pay more taxes, but he claimed that the Jews in Caesarea owed back taxes for all the Jews that lived in Jerusalem. Man, this is pre-Holocaust. The same, just without the ability to kill at that scale, but it's the same anti-Semitic hostility. That the Jews aren't paying their fair share. Not only are they not paying their fair share, they're so privileged they should pay somebody else's fair share. Well, that was just dumb, but it got dumber. So Florus just went to Jerusalem, physically went to the Jerusalem, went to the temple, raided the treasury, and sent it all to Rome. Now, how many of you in your church history class have ever even heard that story? No, because we present our church history in the book of Acts much, much, much too simplistically, without enough background. You know, all we know, destruction of the temple, second coming, over. No, this was an incendiary event. Took all the money, just walked in and took it and shipped it off to Rome. Now, when he did that, he heard that there was a group, again, pre-social media, but a social media dynamic. There was a group of local Jews who were making fun of him, and they started a movement to collect alms. And they were called Alms for Florus, mocking him by this movement to take a mocking offering for Florus. That did not go well. And Florus went on a rampage, as you might expect. So he calls the Sanhedrin and he says, look it, you boys, straighten us out, you stop this, you shut your yappers, or it's going to be trouble for you. So the Sanhedrin actually called an assembly of the entire population centered in Judea at the time. And they put all the vessels of the temple. Now remember, the treasury is drained, so all they got left are the Levitical vessels. Put them on display in front of the temple and said, if you don't knock it off, we're going to lose everything. Wow. Wow. Can you imagine the effect that would have had on the hearers? And again, talk about a psychological, emotive crisis. Stop it. Stop it. Or we're going to lose everything. And when did everything happen? 70 AD. But there were things that were leading up to it. It was like provoke, counter-provoke, provoke revolution, provoke riot, provoke mob, mob provoke. This mutual contempt and provoking was going on, where it culminated in the high priest warning them they're going to lose everything. Now, what are you going to do? Well, we need to just we need to go to war to get rid of these people. No. We need to compromise. We want to live in peace. We got to make something work. Boy, it's so relevant to today's situations. I'll see you the next time.